He's a great fighter.
Okay. You think he's a great fighter? But what do they think? What do you think about them comparing him to you? I mean, you're a legend, my friend.
Well, he'll be one too if he keeps fighting.
Oh, okay.
Why I think that is I've never seen anyone who was as big as this kid move as well as he does. For you to be that big, like 6'5", 250 pounds at only 20 years old, to move that well on your feet.
Talents are so crazy, especially at this age, okay? It is so, what is he, 20, 21? And you know, he's starting to get compared to Mike Tyson as far as his trajectory.
Mike Tyson spoke highly of Moses Itauma, using powerful words to underline what sets him apart from today's generation of fighters. Unlike many modern boxers, Itauma shows raw hunger, relentless focus, and the determination that defines a true champion. Tyson stressed that real greatness isn't built overnight. It comes from discipline, consistency, and the ability to accept setbacks with dignity. With those traits, Itauma is already making waves in the heavyweight division, and Tyson believes he has the tools to rise above his peers and secure his place in boxing history as a future legend.
But if you listen, this is the thing. It has nothing to do with you losing. It depends on how you lose. You lose spectacularly, hey, they're going to always use you. Depends on how you lose. You can lose and win at the same time.
Yeah, your stock can go up.
Yeah.
Some people be like, "Oh, you undefeated? You don't know? You don't understand?" It's like, no, I do understand.
Yes, you do understand.
I came out on top, but I took the risk, and I had some close ones. But I also remember my last loss and how that made me feel, which made me not want to, lose again. And I just think that, given the climate of the game now with the social, like, you get crucified in boxing if you lose a fight.
Because the people that watch boxing now don't understand boxing. They look at it from a physical perspective.
I agree with that.
They don't understand it at all.
Yeah. Man, Cuss is grooming you and prepping you. And I saw a quote from him that thing almost brought me to tears. He said, at his age, he said, how do you stay alive? What's your motivation? He said, I'm alive because Mike gives me hope to stay alive. I have a reason with Mike here.
Ariel Helwani, one of the most respected figures in combat sports media, has given high praise to Moses Itauma for accomplishing what very few have managed at such a young age. At just 20 years old, Itauma is already regarded as one of the most exciting heavyweight prospects on the planet. Helwani even suggested that Itauma has the potential to break Mike Tyson's long-standing record as the youngest heavyweight champion, a milestone that has symbolized youthful greatness in boxing for decades. This isn't just hype. It's backed by Itauma's steady rise, flawless performances, and the growing recognition he's earning within the sport. When seasoned veterans and analysts alike speak so highly of him, it proves that his journey is about more than promise, it's about real progress. The idea that he could surpass Tyson's record shows just how seriously the boxing world is beginning to take his talent.
Outside the boxing, but he's back. He's got his new fight is March the 1st in Bournemouth. So yeah, he's rolling the dice again. He's just had a little boy, so he took some time out.
Okay. When did you start to really feel like this could be a career, that you had a special gift? How soon into that, training journey did you start to realize, like, oh wow, this is what they're saying about me is different?
It's after I sparred Lawrence Okoli, my trainer at the time. He messaged me saying that what you've done today was crazy, unbelievable. If you stick at it, you can be one of the greatest boxers to live, heavyweight, sorry. And then I was like, okay, I'm not bad, but at this point, I'm a 2-time European gold medalist, 2-time national champion, but I still didn't think I was like,
What makes Moses Itauma stand out isn't just his youth, but the remarkable way he moves inside the ring. Analysts reviewing his latest performances have been quick to highlight his rare mix of speed and agility, qualities not often associated with the heavyweight division. Most heavyweights are praised for raw power and sheer size, not for nimble footwork or sharp reflexes. Itauma, however, breaks that stereotype. At only 20 years old, he already shows the kind of fluid movement usually reserved for lighter fighters. His footwork allows him to slip punches, cut angles with precision, and fire back with counters that leave opponents off balance. The contrast between his size and athleticism is what excites experts the most. It shows that Itauma isn't just a big puncher, but a complete fighter, one with the ability to outmaneuver even experienced heavyweights.
as to why I think that is I've never seen anyone who was as big as this kid move as well as he does. For you to be that big, like 6'5", 250 pounds at only 20 years old, to move that well on your feet, to have that level of speed and power, when have we ever seen that before in the history of boxing? Ever. In the last 30 years even. You look at Lennox Lewis, he didn't fucking move like that for the weight. No way. As good as he was, he didn't move like that. AJ, hell of an athlete, he didn't move like that. Tyson Fury was a good mover for a big bloke. He doesn't move like that. He hasn't got that explosive speed. We're witnessing something so fucking special here. This is the most exciting combat sports athlete, any sport, MMA, boxing, whatever you want to talk about, in the world. And he's 20 years old. It's unbelievable. And I get that a lot of people have doubted him because it's hard to believe that guys who you've respected for the last 15 years can get in a boxing ring against a 20-year-old kid and get the shit beaten out of them. And that emotional connection will make you want to, oh, maybe this will happen. Oh, Dillian White's, he's training hard, he looks in shape. No. It doesn't matter what version of Dillian White shows up. Dillian White could go back through his entire fucking career and pick any version of himself out. You're getting smoked by Moses Itauma because the level difference, it's fucking huge. That's why I only gave him 2 rounds. And I respect Dillian White. I think he is a tough guy. He has had a good career. But just look at the way Dillian White moves, man. And look at the way Moses Itauma moves. This was a really easy one to predict, actually. People are comparing him to Mike Tyson. It's a hell of a compliment.
Showbiz The Adult drew a striking comparison when reflecting on Moses Itauma's performance against Dillian White. Much like the doubts that surrounded a young Mike Tyson before he demolished Michael Spinks in under 2 minutes, many questioned whether Itauma was ready for an opponent of White's caliber. The fight delivered a decisive answer. Itauma displayed crushing power, calm composure, and a ruthless finishing instinct that instantly reminded fans of Tyson's breakout moment. The storyline felt almost identical, a young fighter placed under heavy scrutiny, shutting down his critics in the most emphatic way possible. The comparison highlights that Itauma's knockout over White wasn't just another victory. It was a defining statement, one that commanded respect and shifted the entire conversation about his future in the sport.
Experience bout and stuff like that. And, we never see Moses in this situation, something like that. And I responded by saying, this is going to be Mike Tyson Spinks. Remember that?
Moses will get hit so hard the first. He going to be gun shy for the rest of the fight, like Ryan versus Rolly. It's different level. He ain't been tested. That's what he said about. I remember those exact words when Iron Mike Tyson fought Michael Spinks. They said Mike Tyson never been in a ring with somebody of the caliber of Spinks. I'll never forget. So let's see.
And damn it, how identical this shit is just mind-blowing. Check this out.
Dillian White looks a little big-eyed for me. He looks a little nervous for me, man. You gotta make 5 rounds. You looking down and shit. He looked like Michael Spinks, man.
Commentators noted the striking similarities between Moses Itauma's situation and Mike Tyson's famous clash with Michael Spinks. Before Tyson stepped into the ring that night, many argued he had never faced someone of Spinks' caliber. Yet once the bell rang, Tyson's dominance silenced every doubt. The same narrative followed Itauma. Critics claimed he hadn't been truly tested, but when he faced Dillian White, the atmosphere felt eerily familiar. Observers pointed out White's body language before the fight, the wide eyes, the nervous glances, reminiscent of Spinks on the night he faced Tyson. The comparison was hard to ignore. Just as Tyson dismantled Spinks in unforgettable fashion, Itauma stepped in and delivered a performance that left no room for debate. It wasn't just another fight, it was a moment that felt like history repeating itself.
It's a really good thing, though, when people are talking about you and people are, talking about you being maybe the next youngest world heavyweight champion after Mike Tyson, trying to break that record. You're 19 years of age now, talking about your last performance, Marius Wack. Big guy, strong guy, been in there, seen it, done it, boxed everyone, was expected to give you rounds. You went in there and took him apart in 2, right? So them expectations are obviously going to be talked about. People are obviously going to do that and compare you with the likes of Mike Tyson. And that is a good thing. And I think the champions feed off that sort of stuff. And that's what you do. You don't let the pressure get you, but you deliver in your performances.
Yeah, like do you know what? I've kind of put myself with kind of making the comparison with me and Mike Tyson with completely different styles or whatnot, but I never really wanted to compare to no one. I kind of want to set my own path, like I said multiple times. Like, obviously, Joshua, Fury, Usyk, Tyson, all them lot, they've set their own path, so I want to set my own.
I think it's the age thing, isn't it? With
Yeah,
the Mike
100%.
Tyson thing, you know, where he become the youngest world heavyweight champion, 20 years of age and X amount of months, whatever that was. You're 19. You know, you put yourself in a position now that Frank Warren was on here talking about you boxing Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark. He said tomorrow, now. That's the sort of level he sees you at.
Of course, if you look at my last fight, obviously that's where they all get their confidence from.
When comparisons to Mike Tyson first began to surround Moses Itauma, they were both flattering and heavy to carry. Tyson is one of the most legendary heavyweights in history, a fighter who ruled his era with raw ferocity and youthful brilliance. But Itauma has made it clear he has no interest in becoming the next Tyson. Instead, he speaks about the importance of building his own identity and legacy. Much like Anthony Joshua and other modern champions who created their own paths, Itauma shows a maturity beyond his years. At only 20 years old, he understands that real greatness doesn't come from imitation, it comes from establishing a name that stands on its own. His determination to be remembered as Moses Itauma, not just as a reflection of Tyson, reveals a mindset that separates future legends from those who crumble under the weight of comparisons.
He is a heavyweight that moves like a lightweight. Sorry, a light heavyweight. Certainly doesn't move like a lightweight, but a light heavyweight. He just darts in and out so quickly. Like, nothing about him physically looks 240 pounds. Bear in mind, that's the same weight as Daniel Dubois. He's the same height. It's only 10 pounds less than AJ. It's the same height as Dillian White. I'm sorry, same weight as Dillian White. But you look at his frame, he doesn't look that heavy. It's almost like he's very, I don't know, maybe a lot of that weight's in his legs, but he seems to move and glide around the ring so freely. So yeah, look, I'm very excited about him. I thought that if I watched it again, because obviously I made the video yesterday immediately after watching the fight, so I was very high. And I thought, okay, let me watch it again and maybe calm down a little bit. If anything, I've got higher. If anything, I've gone higher. I think he's incredible. I was at the airport with Lee Wood. And Lee Wood, obviously trained by Ben Davison. Lee Wood sees him train all the time. And he was like, dude, I'm not surprised. Like, I see this guy train all the time. I see what he does. I see who he spars. And sometimes you got to listen to those people. Again, we're not privy to any of that. All we see is a couple of rounds or 2 minutes on fight night. We don't see anything else, where people like Lee see it week in, week out. So look, I think he's incredible. Let's not waste no time. I've already wasted 5 minutes or so. Let's talk about potential opponents. And this doesn't include, again, the top 3 guys. So this doesn't include Alexander Usyk. I'll tell you who it doesn't include. Doesn't include Alexander Usyk.
Today, Oladipo expressed a view that has struck a chord across the boxing community. Not every fighter needs years of grueling tests to prove they belong at the top. Some display championship qualities long before a title belt is strapped around their waist. Moses Itauma's dominant victory over Dillian White was exactly that kind of moment. He didn't need a long back-and-forth war to validate his ability, he showed it all in one night. His speed, timing, and composure painted a clear picture of a fighter with championship potential. Oladipo's observation captures how quickly Itauma has changed perceptions. In silencing his doubters, he has turned skeptics into believers, proving that sometimes greatness doesn't need explanation, it speaks for itself.
Discuss. There's always and often rumors after a fight when a fighter gets blown out there early that there's some kind of injury. But what really intrigued me building up to this fight, and on the live stream, people who were seeing me, I was kind of confused by it, was why this has become a 10-rounder suddenly. I thought this was a 12-round fight. It was for various international belts and all that kind of stuff. I didn't see any reason why this wouldn't be a 12-rounder, especially when it's a pay-per-view main event. And I assumed that the reduction to 10 rounds indicated that there may have been an injury to Itauma with him being the A side, but then seeing the fact that Dillian White walked second to the ring tells me he maybe had a bit more negotiating power in this than I first thought, which then leads me to believe that potentially this rumor of him having an injury is actually true, and he wanted to reduce it to 10 rounds because of some sort of pre-fight issue. Now look, again, we don't really know if there was an issue with White, but he did look a bit sort of tender and he walked to the ring somewhat gingerly. I didn't read anything into that because I wasn't sure if he was just relaxed. But look, some people are saying he was injured. Sonny Edwards has posted that on Instagram. Sonny Edwards is obviously someone more in the know than I will ever be in terms of having his finger on the button, hearing rumors and all that kind of stuff. So I'm inclined to believe there may be some truth to it. But at the same time, once again, I want to reiterate, I always predicted Itauma to win this fight. I just didn't think he'd do it as quickly as he did. This might explain why Dillian White couldn't even last a few rounds. But at the same time, when I watched back those tactical details that I just showed you, That's stuff Dillian White's always done. That's nothing to do with a leg injury. And I fully believe that Itauma's work in there was smart. It was an executed game plan. And would a Dillian White with a leg injury have behaved any differently? Or sorry, with or without a leg injury behaved any differently? I don't think so. I think that the issue with White is, and the reason he couldn't take him rounds, and I texted Jamie, me and Jamie were texting afterwards from Boxing Live. And I said to him, the problem with White is his weaknesses are too well documented. That's why he was not able to go as long as a Balogun, in my opinion. Everybody knows what Dillian White's issues are. I suppose that I just felt he could get in there and survive a bit longer, fight very, very reserved and cautious, and take him rounds and then try and get him to make mistakes. But he couldn't even do that. And I think the biggest thing I've learned from this is that Itauma can execute under pressure. And because there was pressure in this fight, don't get me wrong. Now, he said after the fight that the Balogun fight was actually more pressure for him because he was supposed to win that so easily, whereas with this, he saw it as a genuine contest. He felt more relaxed. To me, that's fine. You can think that way if you want, but to me, there was more pressure in this fight.
That White appeared healthy, composed, and fully focused during his ring walk. To claim otherwise diminishes the skill and execution Itauma displayed on fight night. This reflects a familiar theme in boxing. When a young fighter rises quickly, skeptics often search for excuses instead of giving credit. Yet Itauma's blend of power, timing, and fearlessness left little room for doubt. His performance spoke for itself, proving that he deserves recognition as a legitimate force in the division. The injury narrative only underscores how difficult it can be for rising stars to earn respect, but in this case, Itauma's dominance left